Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us here on our live AMA with Kris. We're so excited to have taken your questions from earlier today. We're also going to take a bunch during the live chat. So if you have additional questions, feel free to add them into our YouTube. I'm going to hand over to Kris now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this quickly set up AMA. It has been an insane week in crypto space. I'm sure you guys been following this 24/7. Everybody was truly shocked with the collapse of FTX. And when I look at what's happening on Twitter, I can see a lot of anger, disappointment, and disbelief. And I completely understand where you guys are coming from. I am in shock myself that it turned out to be this way. And I think everybody agrees that this sets back the industry a good couple of years in terms of our reputation, the efforts we put in, and trust was damaged, if not lost. So in this kind of tumultuous times, what we need to do is focus on rebuilding this trust. And I think people are way past taking anybody's word for granted. People want to see actions. So as a company, as a brand, and as this team has always focused on not on what we do, what we say, but on what we do. And just look at how we behaved in this in last week. We immediately announced that we're going to provide audited proof of reserves, and our teams are working on this 24/7 with an external auditor. We the following day, we've committed to show our reserves, and within 5 hours from that announcement, we've published it, so everybody can see the addresses and transactions going in and out. And most importantly, you could see that our platform is performing kind of business as usual. People are depositing, people are withdrawing, people are trading. There is pretty much normal activity, just at a heightened level. But it's not only important to look at how a certain company behaves during times of such stress. I think it's important to look at how we behaved over the last couple of years and what actions we've taken as a company. So today, Cryptocom is the single most regulated company in this space with highest number of licenses and registrations from tier 1 jurisdictions. We're talking about US with CFTC and a money transmitter license, Europe with e-money license registrations in the UK, France, and a number of other markets. Canada, we've got a delivery regulator there. Singapore, we're one of the first companies to be granted a crypto license under the PSA Act by one of the most stringent regulators in the world, the MAS. We've got regulated entities in Australia, in South Korea. So basically, we are covering the whole world in tier 1 jurisdictions as a licensed, regulated business. This is very important in building trust and making sure that everything is run properly. At the same time, we also lead the market in terms of security certifications and privacy certifications. We were the first company to get ISO certified in this space. We have the highest tier 4 NIST ranking. We've got trust marks, 2 trust marks from Singapore that cover privacy and cybersecurity. We are leading the way in compliance, in security, and privacy. This is extremely important for everybody to understand that we've acted as a responsible, regulated player since our inception. We are a global alliance partner of Visa, a tier 1 financial institution. We operate the largest Visa crypto card program in the world today. It's a stable, regulated business, and everybody needs to look at the actions we're taking now to push for transparency, and the actions we've taken in the last couple of years in terms of compliance and cybersecurity is our foundational layer. Now, everybody also should pay attention to what is the actual business. People are asking about the differences between us and players like FTX. These are businesses in the same industry, but they operate completely differently. we've got more than 70 million people on our platform globally who downloaded our app. And our business model is actually very simple. We provide access to the masses to digital assets and take a fee for it. And we've generated for the last 2 years over $1 billion in revenue each in 2021 and in 2022. And we reinvested that revenue into building this compliant, secure infrastructure so that everybody can have a safe and trusted place to trade, to store, to pay with crypto, to basically get full access to this ecosystem. And if you look at the nature of the business, it's really very simple. Give access, charge a fee. We never engaged as a company in any irresponsible lending practices. We never took any third-party risks. We do not run a hedge fund. We do not trade customers' assets. We always kept one-to-one reserves, and it's also true today, and very soon we'll prove it with the audited one-to-one proof of reserves report. So I think it's also important to understand that if you look at FTX, list of creditors, probably 100,000 customers. They are typically semi-pro, pro traders. A big chunk of this population is on Twitter, and a big chunk of this population has funds stuck on FTX. It's a completely different business when you're serving pro traders on a derivatives platform versus onboarding 70 million individual customers who predominantly buy and hold. So I want everybody to understand that these are completely two different businesses that are operating in the same space with different focus, different infrastructure, different approach to security, different approach to regulation, and just a different mindset about the business. We are not traders. We are not a hedge fund. We live to give people access to cryptocurrency and take this industry to complete global adoption. So what is going to happen forward is we will just continue with our business as usual, and we will prove all the naysayers, and there is many of these right now on Twitter and over the last couple of days. We'll prove them all wrong with our actions. We'll continue operating as we have always operated. It will continue being the safe and secure place where everybody can access crypto. And by the way, there's this debate whether people should be keeping funds on exchanges or withdraw it. I would like to remind everyone that since 2020, we've got Cryptocom DeFi wallet, which is non-custodial. We spent 2 years building and improving it. You can actually link it for your custodial wallet with your non-custodial wallet, and you can withdraw funds to your non-custodial wallet and control the keys. It's a very simple experience. It's as good as it gets in terms of non-custodial wallets. More than 5 million people already downloaded it. So if you guys are looking to move to a setup where you control your coins in a non-custodial wallet, I highly recommend you to download Cryptocom DeFi wallet today. We fully support this movement and the movement of decentralization. So this is the first 10 minutes of an introduction. I wanted to give everybody a brief overview of how we are different and what we are doing to make sure that everything goes well. And now I would like to move on to the Q&A. Steve.
Awesome. So again, thank you to everybody who sent in questions. We literally got hundreds and hundreds of questions. We've tried to boil them down to their essence so that we can get to everybody's questions as quickly as possible. The first one, I think, Kris, you addressed it a little bit. Maybe you have some more to add to it. How are we different from FTX?
All right. So essentially, there are two business models in cryptocurrency space, right? One is the brokerage model where our platform, for example, is a counterparty to the transaction. And every time our users buy or sell crypto, we immediately hedge their position to have zero market risks and we take a fee for providing the access to it. This is 95% of our business. That's also 95% of business of Coinbase. And the other model is taking a fee on exchange where people trade hundreds of millions of dollars. High volume traders, fees are a couple bips and whatnot. So those are the two business models. And we focus on the retail part of the business. Our exchange, while growing fast, and we just launched our Gen 3 version of the exchange, which has got a lot of great features and even lower fees. It's growing nicely, but it's still a small portion of our business. Retail access to 70 million people, this is our core. So it's completely different compared to FTX. I already addressed the issues of mixing up hedge fund business together with an exchange. I think it's a terrible idea. It should be outlawed. I already addressed the irresponsible lending practices of some of the companies that blew up in May. We've never done any of this. We are very conservative, and we like our business to be simple.
So perfect segue to the next question, which is, what are Crypto.com's main sources of income and profit?
Again, it's the fees our users pay whenever we give them access through fiat or crypto trading. We've got also some smaller revenue streams. For example, our Cryptocom Pay solution, where merchants accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment for their goods, and we charge 50 basis points for providing the service and subsequently converting it to fiat for them. But majority of it is just a global access to retail.
Awesome. A lot of people, the whole industry is talking about proof of reserves. We're preparing a third-party audit right now. A lot of people wanted to know, can you elaborate on the details of what'll be in that audit?
Right. So the objective of the audit is to verify independently that every single coin that we have on the platform is matched by our reserves. And if you want to get a look of how this type of report look like, you can go to Kraken website. They've been doing this for many years. For our report, we will push extremely hard to do it within 30 days. If it can be done faster, we will do it faster. But you guys have to understand, these are audit firms. They don't operate on crypto speed. We need to onboard. We need to agree on the scope, and we need to complete this, right? And this is a large-scale platform, right, with fair amount of scale, right? So I assume that if we manage to cut a week from this, that would be great. But I would not expect this to be any faster. And I understand everybody wants it. I want it too. If there was a physical way of publishing this today, I would publish it today, because I know that everybody wants to just relax. Me too. But you guys need to wait for people who work at different speed than all of us.
Yeah, you've just addressed the second question, which is everyone wants to know, can we get it this week? But as you just said, really hard to do that.
We will do our best to push for it as much as possible. You guys also need to remember that after the events of last week, there's quite a number of other exchanges who are also working on it. I think actually this is a very positive development, that every single exchange that has some basic scale in terms of multiple billions of dollars in AUM, every single one will have to have it and will have to publish. And we will push super hard for this, and we will make sure that it's required by law in every jurisdiction that is a tier one jurisdiction. We've already went through a lot of these processes with multiple regulators, so we run like this, right? But not everybody in the industry runs like this. So we have to make sure collectively, as an industry, that this is that there's full transparency. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely hard to restore the trust that was lost last week.
So moving on to the next question. On Friday, we released our cold wallet addresses, and a lot of people were talking about that 20% of the reserve is in SHIB. Can you explain that? A lot of people were wondering, how does that happen?
Well, it's one-to-one, right? So we store whatever our customers buy. And it so happens that last year, Doge and Shi were two extremely hot meme coins. and people bought a lot, and they're holding it. They didn't sell it. So as long as our users are holding, we'll be holding it. We have no control over what you guys buy. You buy it, we will store it, we'll keep it safe for you, and that's it. So I want to make it clear for everybody that those are not our funds. Those are client funds, right?
Perfect. So another, FUD and stuff like that that's been going around, people are asking, is it true that you've stopped withdrawals?
This is absolutely not true. We're operating as usual. Again, there is a heightened level of activity, which means higher trading volumes, more revenue for us, also higher number of deposits and withdrawals, and we are operating as usual with higher levels of activity. What you will see is that customer service tickets, there's some backlog there, so we're working super hard on making sure that you get answers from customer service in a timely manner. But withdrawals are absolutely core, and withdrawals are working and will always be working. This is absolutely fundamental. So every time you see somebody on Twitter saying that, withdrawals are not working, please double check, because they are working. You go to status.crypto.com and you can see status in real time of all the services. So I recommend you guys take a look at it. This week, there are only 3 coins where we stop withdrawals. One is Gala, which was a security incident a week ago, and 2 coins called SRM and Ray that are tied to FTX very closely. So we want to protect our users and progressively remove this type of assets from our platform altogether.
Moving on to the next question. Several influencers on Twitter have been saying Crypto.com is in financial trouble. What do you have to say to them?
This is not the first time that people are saying things about Crypto.com. They've been saying it for a few years, right? And what I can say is that we will do what we've always done. We will prove people wrong with our actions and not our words. So in a couple of months, all these guys are going to look really, really bad for throwing allegations that have absolutely no substance. Right? Well, as a company, we not only have one-to-one reserve coverage, we also have a tremendously strong balance sheet. So we will continue operating as usual, and we will prove people wrong. I'm looking forward to it more than anything else.
Did Crypto.com have any exposure to Luna? That was a really popular question.
Luna, we've been very transparent. We had 0 exposure to Luna. And this comes from the conservative way in which we run and operate this business. So first of all, we do not lend to third parties. This has been the source of collapse of companies like Blockfolio and Celsius, right? And we do not take counterparty risk of any sort like this. And secondly, we've never had any exposure to USD. We thought this 20% yield is too good to be true. We looked at the mechanics of Luna and USD. We consider this a high risk instrument. So if you remember, we've never even listed USD, where pretty much every other platform did. So we play very conservatively, and our exposure to Luna was 0. If anybody on Twitter says otherwise, it's just FUD, and it's 100% completely false.
Moving to the next one. Why did you send nearly 1 billion in stablecoins to FTX? And were those 1 billion recovered?
First of all, people should always look at funds movement on both sides, right? Over a year, $1 billion was moved to FTX, and we recovered all of this. We only had exposure of under $10 million when FTX shut down. And FTX was a trading venue where this is one of the few trading venues with decent liquidity for some of the coins, like the ones I mentioned earlier, SRM, Ray, and they were also one of the primary venues for Solana. So we do hedge some of our customers' orders there. And the way the brokerage part of our business works is that every time customer places an order on the app, buy or sell, we have multiple venues where we could hedge this order, and we pick the most cost-efficient one with best liquidity, lowest cost, so we can pass on these savings to our customers. And this means that we are not taking any market risk. We're always market neutral. But it also means that there must be fund flows between our venue and other venues in the industry. And FTX was one of them, and a very small one for us, for that matter. So we've recovered everything. Our exposure is less than $10 million. Those are the facts, and everything else is just food.
And I believe we answered this question, but there were a bunch of questions specifically asking if you could explain hedging and how Crypto.com engages with hedging. I believe you answered most of it, but if you had anything else.
I think this is actually pretty simple, and I think strategically, what's important to us, I will also add, strategically, what's important to us that we continue to grow Crypto.com exchange as a trading venue, so we progressively increase the level of liquidity on our own venue, so we can reduce reliance on other players in the industry for hedging purposes. We all know where are the centers of liquidity in the industry today, so it's our responsibility to make sure that we get you the best possible price and hedge it most efficiently. But ideally, over time, as we climb the rankings, and I think at the Gen 3.0 release for our exchanges, it's a cool milestone, because now we've got a tremendously competitive platform functionality-wise. It will allow us to compete on that front, and it will allow us to get to better levels of performance so that we can reduce our reliance on third-party venues.
So moving on to the next question, some people were curious, making parallels to FTX and wondering, do we use CRO as collateral for loans? How do we manage funds externally? Can you provide some clarity there?
We never used CRO as a collateral for even a single loan in our history, not even once. And if you guys remember, it was about almost 2 years ago, we've actually burned 70 billion of excess supply of CRO. So the short answer is no, we've never used it. We never needed to use it. We've got a very simple business that generates fairly decent amount of revenue, and we focus on this.
There's another question related to having released our cold wallet addresses and showing the reserves that we have. Everybody was started to ask, what about liabilities? Do we hold more assets than liabilities? How does that work? What's the relationship there between those cold wallet addresses and what's there, our assets and our liabilities?
Yeah, again, this is partial information, and all of the other players who are releasing it last week, they released the assets first, because this is the thing that you can compile in the fastest possible way with companies like Nansen, where you just create a dashboard, plug in the addresses, and it calculates it automatically, right? Whenever you need to bring in an external auditor and look at the other side of the equation, it takes a couple of weeks. So both sides with assets and liabilities, proving that we've got full one-to-one reserve coverage, will be available in the audited proof of reserves report coming in a few weeks. I want to also mention that on top of this, we've got a tremendously robust balance sheet as a company. So we never needed to raise any funds. We don't need to do it now. We don't anticipate that we will ever need to do it. We have a very strong balance sheet, and that also helps to weather this type of fluctuations.
I'm going to skip the next question because I think you addressed it, unless you had anything else to add about DeFi Wallet and the Kronos ecosystem and the relationship there.
Again, we support the notion of decentralization. This is the centerpiece of true crypto ethos. You need to control your money, your data, and identity. This is your basic human right. This is what we're all about. invested tremendously in building the decentralized part of our ecosystem with the DeFi wallet. Again, more than 5 million downloads. People love this product. You should try it. You can connect it to your main Crypto.com custodial wallet and move funds back and forth as you please, very quickly, very easily. And the Kronos ecosystem. There are more than 400 projects building on Kronos today. We are a contributor to this open source initiative, and we're even giving back to in terms of our contribution to Cosmos projects, because this started as a Cosmos based project. So we believe in it. And again, our actions in terms of being fully transparent, open source, contributing, bringing 400 projects into this into Kronos, I think it speaks very loudly about our commitment to decentralization.
Cool. The next question, or again, another really popular one: how does Crypto.com earn generate yields? I think a lot of people see it like a bank account. Right.
Well, we view this as a rewards program to onboard users. We've never considered taking irresponsible lending risks as a way to juice the yields further and scale this product more than it is possible in a safe way. So this is important to understand. And once it reached a certain scale, we had to cut the rates so that our cost as a percentage of revenue drops. And we've done it as probably the first company in the industry, and nobody was happy about it. But we act responsibly in terms of managing our financial performance. So we've done it. This was the right decision, and it allows us to have a business that is cash flow positive today. So it's very, very important that people understand the differences in how different companies view risk and how do they operate their platforms.
This is a popular question we get all the time. How does Crypto.com afford all these marketing spends with the amount of revenue?
I think that people need to understand how the communication side of things work whenever this type of deal is announced. Say our deal with our partners at UFC, there's a tagline number of around 175 million, but everybody needs to understand this is a 10-year deal. Crypto.com Arena, it's a 20-year deal. So we simply pay a small portion of this long-term commitment every year. So the way we looked at this is it's an investment in building a trusted brand, and it's still a very manageable portion of our revenues, roughly 10% on an annual basis. So if you compare to how much other brands are spending per year as a percentage of their revenue on branding, it's not crazy. People think it's crazy because they look at the total numbers over 10, 20 years. But on annual base, as a percentage of revenue, it's quite reasonable. And I think that I always get asked, would you still do this deal if you knew that this deal, if you knew how the market unfolds? We've made a decision that we want to go out there and get our name out there. And we got to a pretty decent scale with 70 million users. It would never be possible without this investment into our brand awareness. And I believe that this is also one of our contributions to the industry, because we managed to get the word out there, not only for ourselves, but also for the entire industry, if only by the virtue of our name.
Absolutely. I love seeing our name everywhere. So what are your expectations about the future, and where do you see Crypto.com in 5 years?
That's a great question. And, I think after the events of last week, everybody needs to think about how do we restore trust for the entire industry. it's been shaken, badly damaged. In case of many people lost. It's going to require a tremendous amount of work and commitment from every single player in this industry in order to restore this. So this is our priority one. Continue to be the trusted, responsible player that has a fully regulated business that everybody can understand, is fully transparent, so that we can provide a place that is safe and secure for the users, so that they have a place to go to. And if you extrapolate a few years down the road, like 5 years, okay, so I think that the industry is going to come back, and is going to come back stronger than ever. I think collectively, it's very painful now, but we will benefit collectively from removal of bad actors from the industry. But I want everybody to understand that restoring this faith in our space is going to take time and work. It's not going to be overnight. There's another aspect of it that I frequently think about, and that bear markets are actually good for one thing: really building. There is no hype. You can focus on building products that customers actually want. You need to get to real product market fit. You need to generate real revenues. Those things tend to be a very conducive atmosphere for releasing stuff that is breakthrough. And these innovations that are being built right now are going to help us drive the next cycle of adoption. So I think it's going to be fine. I remain very optimistic about the industry. I'm also clear-eyed about the amount of work that is going to be required from all of us. And I think that if you think about the possibilities, as an industry, we've barely scratched the surface of the potential that this technology holds. I want to see a social network coming out of this space during the next cycle, a product that will onboard 1 billion plus users, a single product. There's still so much to do. So keep faith, stay strong. People who were here in 2018 and 2019 in the depths of the winter, they felt the same things you're feeling now. So I think you need to understand that if you want to have outcomes, you need to have conviction and commitment. And if you have those two things, you're going to do exceptionally well in the future in this space.
All right. So if you've seen my eyes zipping around, it's because I'm trying to catch all the questions coming through on YouTube and elsewhere. So We've got a good one, I think a really good one from Armand Berry. And Armand asked, will you improve rewards on your Visa cards again?
So that's a tricky one because I don't want to overcommit. I'll give you my general answer how I think about rewards. We love to give back to our community and onboard as many people as we can. But we need to balance the revenues that we're generating from our core business with the expenditure on rewards. So you can expect us to have a more attractive set of rewards when the market comes back. In fact, the way we've built our product is that we've got flexibility to do so. So the answer is, like, as long as it makes sense from sustainability of the business perspective, we're keen to give back more.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. We've got a good question here from Not a Toyota. That's the screen name. Please explain your process to validate sending funds to the correct addresses. Where was the breakdown in the 400 million moved incorrectly?
All right, that's a great question. So first thing I want to clarify is that every single address that our systems allow funds to be sent to is whitelisted and approved and pre-approved. And there's no way that systems can go to an address that we can't control and get the funds back from. So people were speculating that, we had to go and ask Gate.io to return the funds to us. No, we could just withdraw the funds and send it back because it was our corporate account with them. It's just the amount was so large that it was above their daily withdrawal limits. So we've asked them to increase our daily withdrawal limits, and that was the extent of their help. So people need to understand that at no time the funds were at risk of being sent somewhere where we couldn't get it back. And of course, we build the systems in a way to minimize and eliminate any potential for any kind of errors. And after this incident, we've further strengthened it, changed the process, improved it in order to make sure that it just doesn't happen again. It happened over 3 weeks ago. It had nothing to do with Gate doing their proof of reserves. It had nothing to do with any of the craziness that's been happening since FTX collapsed. We're not perfect. We need to improve, and this has been a company that grew tremendously over the last couple of years. We are fixing stuff and improving every single day. But everybody needs to understand that there was the systems would not allow us to send the funds somewhere where we couldn't retrieve them.
All right, I think we'll end it with one more question. The screen name is a little bit funny. LFG to dinner. Will we see Crypto.com at the FIFA World Cup?
Well, of course, we are the global partner of FIFA World Cup as the only cryptocurrency business, and there's going to be probably 5 billion people watching the games. 5 billion. And the name Crypto.com is going to be all over this. So once again, it's going to serve to raise the awareness about it and maybe help a tiny bit with this issue of trust, just tiny bit, because of the visibility and being right next to the most trusted brands in the world. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a tremendous tournament. Hopefully it will allow all of us to relax a bit and stop thinking about this collapse last week. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be great. And again, I hope you guys have a good time. We also have some stuff super special for you to participate in, but that's something that we're going to be announcing later.
Awesome. That's it for the questions. Again, thank you so much to everyone in the community who reached out. Stay in touch with us on Twitter, and I'm going to pass it back to Kris for any last closing thoughts.
Right, closing thoughts. Well, the first thing I want to say is I want to thank our community for the tremendous support. I see you guys backing us up on Twitter super hard and on other social networks when people are just trying to speculate and throwing around baseless allegations. I really appreciate it. It's great to know that this community is super tight and understands who we are as a brand, who we are as a team, and how we operate, and understand. I want to thank the community for this understanding that they can see what we've done over the last couple of years, what we've accomplished together, and sticking with us. I think it's great. I really truly appreciate it. That's number one. Number two, again, remember, ignore what they say and focus on what they do. Look at people's actions. Look at how we behave over the last couple of years. Look at all the licenses we got from tier 1 jurisdictions. Please compare it with any other platform and show me who's done a better job at securing these or the progress we've made on security certifications, privacy certifications. And now we are going to lead the way with transparency. So look at actions, not at words, and make your own mind based on what you see, rather than listening to people pontificating on Twitter, people who, frankly speaking, very frequently, they have no idea what they're talking about. So that's my ask of you. The third thing I want to mention is, in a summary, is that our focus is going to remain on pushing this industry to be more transparent, more compliant, and more safe for everybody. I think we've all learned a big lesson last week with this unexpected and shocking collapse of FTX. We need to collectively do better. And you can count on Crypto.com to lead the way. And you can count on Crypto.com to prove all the naysayers wrong in the coming months and years. Thank you all for joining.